All right, what's up, Raider Nation? Really, really happy. I'm not gonna lie. I was in a very nihilistic, don't care mood. Even going into this game, the beauty of football is that no matter what your record is, the game is so intense, and you love your team so much that no matter what, even if during the week at work you pretend you don't even like your team anymore, even if you don't like your team anymore, even if you're just like, ah, man, I don't ever want to see these guys again. I'm pissed off. You still get really excited. You still get really excited for the game. It's still intense. And the Raiders rewarded us today. And they won in a fashion that you know, typically when the Raiders were constructed this offseason, it was kind of like, man, we're going to air it out. We're going to air it out. Teams aren't going to be able to cover what we're trying to do. Teams aren't going to know what we're trying to do. Josh Jacobs had 28 carries today. And that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable stuff, truly. I did not see a scenario where we would have a game where Josh Jacobs would ever have more than 25 carries, right? Win or loss. Win or loss. It just didn't seem that way. It seemed like they'd be doing short passing game a lot, but they were more physical than the Broncos today, which is really nice. I thought at times the Raiders had looked a little lethargic out there, especially on offense. But on offense, they at least had the physicality on the Broncos. So that was nice to see. You didn't see that against the Chargers. You saw it against Arizona. I'd say they were probably matched the physicality of Arizona. And then Tennessee, absolutely not. I think that's how Tennessee ultimately got their points, was just off physicality. And today the Raiders looked like they actually were the better team, I thought. Like they truly did. Like and I mean that from a sense like McDaniel's down. I think they've looked better than the Cardinals for sure. I think they looked about as good as the Titans, probably better. But at the time today, the Raiders look like no, they're better than the Broncos. They're favored in the game, even though the Broncos were 2-1. They're like no, they're better than this team. And I'd been calling the Broncos kind of overhyped for quite some time. People didn't want to hear that. People really love Russell Wilson. You know what? For most of his career, even when he was at NC State before he even transferred to Wisconsin, I had a feeling he was going to be great. And he was great. He's probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. But I think he's lost a step mobility-wise, and it makes them very it's really tough to get maximized to maximize your potential with Russell Wilson when he can't do the thing that makes him great, which is extend that play, find the open guy down the field. I don't know if he's as good as extending the play anymore. So the Raiders really just needed to not beat themselves in this game, because I thought that they were able to cover Denver's overrated weapons, and they did, minus a couple lapses in coverage. Truly, like Amik Robertson made up for every mistake he made up 100%. Right? I mean, Amik Robertson scored a touchdown today. I mean, that's a defensive touchdown, which the Raiders haven't had in 3 years. That's a game changer. And I don't think that I think Denver having Javonte Williams go out after Melvin Gordon had fumbled, I think that really the Raiders really tightened up against the run. They were decent against the run, it seemed, but after that, it seemed like they were really, really tightening up against the run. You got the Broncos into negative plays on first down, which you saw a lot of incomplete, whether even that I consider incompletions on first down to be a negative play, right? Anything that doesn't actually get you yards on first down, because that's the most important part, is to just not be 2nd and 10 after first down. And it didn't seem that the Broncos were able to move the ball. There's a couple big plays that happened, right? Just a couple big plays. And really, I thought they did such a good job against Denver on defense, because the starting field position for the Broncos was great the whole game. That little punt returner, man, that guy's quick. That guy was not on my little scouting report. I don't have a scouting report, but I wasn't thinking about him, going into the game. He really flipped the field for them, like really, really put them in advantageous spots. But Max Crosby, right? even Andrew Billings for a little bit. Like they were getting in the backfield. Great blitz on the Broncos' first drive by Nate Hobbs. I thought that was a wonderfully designed play. The Broncos were trying to hit the Raiders on something big a few times, and that wasn't going to happen with that cleverly timed blitz. I like Hobbs as a blitzer a lot. I also love him in coverage. I thought in coverage, Nate Hobbs did a great job. Meek Robertson wasn't great, but again, made plays and was making some really nice tackles, keeping the Broncos from getting like super positive plays on first down. The safety struggled a little bit. I thought whoever 31, Gorey was his last name, somebody like that. Like that's just one of those ones where he's on the field, you're like, I mean, what did we expect from this guy? And we got what we expected. There were some kind of bad plays. Duron Harmon definitely forced that ball out, which was nice. Meek Robertson and Duron Harmon, I don't think had great games, but they made one huge play together that really changed the game, I think. So it's tough to completely write off what they did. And that's what this team was missing for the longest time, was just that one play, the one big play, right? We got a few of those on offense. Most of them were Jacobs runs, but like just that one big game that changes the whole drive, changes all that stuff. And like the Raiders just hadn't been able to make that one huge explosive play, because this is a team that's built to like beat you in a shootout, right? And those teams that are designed to beat you in a shootout are teams that are supposed to have lots of weapons, lots of different things they can do on offense, which I think that is true about the Raiders. I'll get to why I think that's still not quite what we want it to be. But on defense, you're supposed to be able to force turnovers and get sacks. And that's exactly what they did today. The Raiders still haven't given up 30 points to a team. I know scoring's down a little bit this year, but they still haven't given up 30 points to a team. And for all the holes that we see on the roster on defense, I do think at the end of the day, if you said, hey, this team is going to keep other teams under 30, you need to get 30, we'd see that. Obviously, that's not how every game works, but you understand that, like, okay, well, yeah, I think we should be able to score 30 a game. And that's kind of what it takes, is you have to make the opponent make more mistakes than you. And Denver definitely made more mistakes than the Raiders. It's not even a question. I still have my issues with Patrick Graham. I'm not as down on him as some other people are. I know there's people a lot smarter than me that are telling me that Patrick Graham's, some of his adjustments aren't good. And I'm not going to be the one. When you put that under a microscope, I'll believe what a lot of those guys say. But like I said, there's some parts that we don't really have a good linebacker on the roster right now. Like Diablo does a nice job against the run. He's just lost in coverage. Perriman does a great job against the run in the limited time. It's very, very unfortunate, but in that limited time that Perriman was on the field, he was making plays. You have Abram, like those are three guys that can't cover though, right? Diablo, Perriman, and Abram. So there's just things that limit this defense from truly, I think, doing the fun exotic stuff that Patrick Graham wants to do. I think there's definitely lack of pass rush depth. I think we can all attest to that, and we've all seen that. Defensive tackles, think they've done a good job against the run. I don't think they do much in the passing game at all. And that there's certain things on this roster where, but that's how it was constructed, right? There's constructed to maybe leave the defense as an unfinished product, where it's like, okay, they got some guys that can make plays. You have a game changer in Max Crosby. He is a game changer. Side note, anybody who's, I don't care about pressures, you need to get sacks. Okay, well, he's getting sacks. Tannehill put the ball on the ground after Crosby hit him. We just didn't recover it last game. That's another one that gets kind of thrown away, where you're like, yo, what's going on with this team? Like, why can't we ever get the loose ball? Say the Raiders got the loose ball. So, I was kind of trying to reverse jinx it a little bit, and I think I did, where I was like, man, anything that involves a loose ball in the air or on the ground always goes to the team other than the Raiders, because the Raiders won like for 5 to 6 years straight in the 70s on wacky plays like that. Now maybe we used up all our points on that. The 1st and 30, I'm seeing in the comments, 1st and 30, that was rough. There's just no explanation for that. You can't give that up. You can't let a guy get that deep down the field on you. I thought they did a really good job staying aggressive and making Russell Wilson have to think a lot in the pocket, really have to do that. And I think even Russ doesn't quite trust his legs like he used to. So I think he had the onus is put on him to actually pick the defense apart from the pocket, which doesn't go as well as people think. I mean, he really hasn't shredded anybody yet this year. And so yeah, that's just a couple notes on the defense there. I do think they're a better unit than last year. I think they play better. I had a feeling they'd give up more big plays this year, but I do think they cause more negative plays, which is nice. Because to me, if you're going to give up some big plays, I'll take some of those big negative plays because those can change drives. Like those can, rather than just allowing yourself to give up check down after check down, right? And just like check down. Oh, I'll tackle you 6 yards. Okay. Oh man, first down. Okay. I'll get you. And I think when you just are able to pin your ears back and have at least 3 or 4 drives where you can basically halt them in their tracks and then hope your offense can keep up, which we're not quite there yet with the Raiders, but I did see some things today that were encouraging for their prospects for the year. So, but dude, it just felt good to win, right? I mean, like that's how good it was. It's just like had they won that Cardinals game too, like we could have all been like, man, we got some problems, but like we're 1-2. Then you go 2-2, beat the Broncos. Like you're just like, okay, we're 2-2. Season starts over today. They're still in that hole. Still have a very tough game next week. Got a long week to rest, but you do have a tough game, about as tough as it gets, to be honest. And against a team that owns you, like, and owns your quarterback, it's gonna be extremely tough. By the way, last thing about Russell Wilson. What happened on that play where Crosby batted it back to him and he caught it in the end zone? Oh my gosh, that was like, is he okay? Like, that is a weird play. Like, I've never seen any quarterback actually want to do that. A big STD in the comments, -4 point differential at 1-3. It's just like, it's so true. It's like, man, that's where, it's all it takes for some teams, man. Like you can do analytics all you want, but we all can point out 1 or 2 plays in every single one of those games, analytics or not, that would have completely, we could be talking about a winning team right now, a winning team that still doesn't look that good, right? That's not playing to the sum of their parts, especially on offense. So let's talk offense. Derek Carr, I'll start at the top. Not his best game, but I didn't get super frustrated with him other than that first drive. You got to hit Adams in the end zone. I mean, he looked to Adams. He looked to him a lot. I thought he distributed the ball beautifully today. But you got to hit him on that first one. We don't even have to have that. In my opinion, I think that sets the tone for the game. 7-0 lead. Way more than that, just those 3-0 nonsense that they were doing. But I thought he didn't turn the ball over. So if you're going to play the way Carr played today, you just can't turn it over, right? I think there are like 3 modes of Carr that I will take. And that's game manager Carr, which we saw today. Game manager made plays with his feet, which was wonderful. It's the best. The last 2 games I've been very encouraged by him just realizing that, okay, I don't think this team's on the same page. Like it's clear that they're most of them still don't really understand the offense. So for him to realize, like, I'm just going to have to make some plays on my own. I'm going to have to be able to get 6 yards with my feet. I'm going to have to pick up 3rd and short on my own, like for now, while this team is still gelling. Clearly this entire team, if you look at, they're kind of looking at each other. Like you see Matt Collins, there's a beautiful close-up of Matt Collins, which I would never say about Matt Collins because that guy's kind of crazy looking, but like, beautiful close-up of him just going like, what on a check? Like, just like, what you want me to do? Like, just, and a lot of stuff, Jacobs on some of those passing plays, like you see it, Colton Miller being the only lineman downfield on certain plays. There are certain things where they don't know. They're still, I think there's the good thing about this team is that if they can continue to tread water by like week 8 and be around 500, by week 8 or something like that, they do have a chance to really hit the gas pedal and just like really start gelling. I just think, man, like, and I'm speaking for everybody on the offense, including Carr, it's just like, I don't know that McDaniels has installed this offense to the point where players feel comfortable kind of just being themselves in the offense. All right. Like if you get a new job, right? You get a new job and you learn a task. It's not until you do that task a few times, like if it's a tough job, um, to where you feel comfortable, to where you can like, have a conversation while you're doing it, right? Have a conversation with your coworker while you're still working because you don't want to mess up. And I think that's what everybody's doing right now in this Raiders offense, including Derek Carr. Now, I think Carr has gotten out of the point where he realizes I need to be the MVP. I need to throw 40 touchdowns this year. I need to do that. Fans might want him to do that, but you just need to win the game. You need to be the winning quarterback is what needs to happen, right? I think he knows that, but I think he understands how to get that. He was not playing his. I thought the first two games, really just the first game, but the first two games, I thought he was really just somebody other than himself, kind of trying to be a method actor for like a gunslinger, which I think he can make every throw in the book, but I think he doesn't need to a lot of times. I think he gets a little flustered when that happens. And today I thought he, for the most part, took throws that were supposed to be, it seemed like the ball went where it needed to go most of the time. You saw the throw to Adams. I even think this is not blaming Adams. I just think even he's having trouble with this offense. Right? Like I think even Adams had like trouble. There was one where it looked like Adams was supposed to kind of stop, come back to the ball. And it was kind of a miscommunication between the two. It's just, there are those plays. It's nice to win while that's not happening because it does seem, even though it's frustrating to see confusion in week 4 of the season, at least so much of it, it is nice that they're still able to, as a team, not as an offense, but as a team, get in the 30s in the points. That is a good problem to have, provided that you do eventually nail down this offense. Offensive line, I'll never speak on the offensive line until I see people smarter than me break down the all 22 and stuff, and see who was good on what. They had a couple mistakes, but for the most part, I thought they were really good. For as much, or the lack of talent that they have, I thought they were good today. Maybe that's the ball coming out a little bit quicker. The ball seemed like it came out quicker today too. So it's a team game, man. Sometimes the quarterback can get rid of the ball faster and the O-line can protect a little longer. Both things can happen, but both can also help the other out. That's what's beautiful about football. And, the receivers made some plays today for sure. Matt Collins, I thought made a couple big catches. Didn't have a huge game, but made a couple nice catches. Adams, the Charger game's probably his best game, but like today I thought he played really well for the most part. Like just a couple big catches, nice run after the catch, really turned the corner on the sidelines, has little deceptive wheels a bit. And that was really nice to see. Definitely want to get Renfro back in there. You kind of forget about him a little bit, to be honest. Really, really want to get into having that slot out there, which, and seeing what you can do with it. But a little more on Carr. I realized I said there's 3 modes of Carr. So there's the game manager mode where he's conservative, but he's making the it's running on time. Everything's good, and stuff like that. We're scoring points. Maybe they're field goals, maybe they're touchdowns, but he's not turning the ball over. There's constant, people moving around, like constant moving around, no negative plays. I like that. That's the kind of Carr I like, is that one. Then you get slow start, but like late comeback Carr, which I think was more the Tennessee game. But even I don't know how slow that start was. You get that one. That was kind of 2016 Carr, where it's just like, you're like, man, what's going on with this guy? And then all of a sudden he just starts ripping it in the third quarter, big throw after big throw. And then you have just flat out like insane guy Carr, where he's like, I'm Brett Favre, and I don't like that one. That's the one Twitter wants him to be. The people who will never like him and never want him to be the quarterback of the Raiders, they are that's the, I just want him to be himself. A true quarterback, I think, knows what they are, especially a veteran one in year 9. So I need him to just how he played today is fine. That's well enough to win if your team plays a good game. And that's what we need from him. not handing it to the other team, winning the turnover battle, like all that stuff was really good. So, yeah. Couple questions here. I'm going to talk about the running game first, but oh no, we're talking about the passing game. How close are we to the point where Carr trusts Hollins more than Waller? Carr's so weird, man. You can go back to my old streams, man, and find it. I said the minute they signed Matt Collins, I said that's Andre Holmes. That's going to be the Andre Holmes of this team. Now, I actually think Hollins has a little more juice and a little more talent than Andre Holmes, though I always loved him. But he's a special teams guy. Andre Holmes was a great gunner, all that, contested catch guy, good deep target to throw to. And Carr, everyone always is like, why is he so fixated on this guy? There's always that guy, Nelson Aguilar. There's always that guy that like people don't seem to peg as having a big season, but it doesn't bother me. Waller still just, I don't know, man. It just looks weird with him. I mean, the drive ended up being kind of a bust, or just only 3 points. But when that play he did to get him down to the 1, that was nice. Like a couple nice plays, but really would like to see him more involved, or plays designed to get him open and stuff like that. But I don't know. It just looks a little weird. Mr. Moreau out there today a little bit, and it was. But I would think about that with Hollins. I'm like, I guarantee you Hollins is gonna have like 7-8 touchdowns when they signed him. And people are always like, oh, hopefully he makes the team. Like, he's just one of those guys that makes the team. I don't know. He just seems like an Andre Holmes. But yeah, I'm ready to see Renfro back out there. That'll be really nice. I would still try to add some of that offensive line. Like I'd try to keep adding to that. Find linebackers, like bring in Blake Martinez, because Perriman, I don't know if we're gonna count on him for a full season. Sign Blake Martinez, sign like a good thumper linebacker. And I'd like to. There's some moves they can make that I would like to see. And so yeah, the run game though. I mean, star of the show. I mean, I don't know what they had, but it was combined with Carr. They probably had close to 200, right? With Carr, Jacobs, and even that long run from Zamir White. That looked. They had to be close to 200 yards rushing today. I mean, that's a classic Raiders over Broncos win. One of my favorite wins, and it's sad that this isn't that big of a deal, was that Sunday night game in 2016 when we were wondering if the Raiders were kind of like a real contender, and when they just blew Denver off the ball, that good Denver defense, and they just absolutely violated them on Sunday Night Football. Picking them apart, running the ball, smash mouth football. That was my favorite. And, we don't. I like the fact. I think that's the impact of Devontae Adams that you see right now, and Waller, and any of these guys that these teams have to game plan for. Jacobs is doing a really good job of making guys miss on his own. He's turning into Le'Veon Bell, which was what I feared. I was like, don't do that dancing around Le'Veon Bell thing. I'm wrong, because I love it. He looks way more agile this year. Maybe he's dealing with injury last year or something like that, but I love the way he's playing right now. I mean, it's the best I've ever seen him play. He's smart. He had that one run where he got spun around in the backfield and just took off. And that was reminding me of Green Bay, right? And what I love to see about Jacobs is that he wasn't immediately after one big play, he wasn't going into the injury tent like he was last year. And nobody wants to admit it, because I'm not trying to take away from Josh Jacobs. I know I'm not the biggest fan. I was the one that was excited when they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, because I still don't think you should draft guys like him that high. It's just not going to change my opinion. But it's very interesting the way running backs play when they don't know where their money's coming from next year. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think it's an effort thing. I think just in your head, you have that internal hunger. It's sad. You don't want to think about it that way, but I think when you're in like year 2 of your 5-year rookie deal, first-round deal, you probably try. I'm not saying you don't try. I'm saying that when you're like, I need to make sure I still have a future in this league, that's how Josh Jacobs is running. And that's what you need to do every year with your running backs. Truly. It's what you need to do every single year. And I think that was one of the smarter moves that this front office has done, is kind of just like, yeah, we're going to probably do something else next year. We're probably going to draft your replacement this year too. And you're going to have to like hang out with him and stuff. But he ran his ass off. He ran his ass off, had some really nice plays on first down, 2 receptions that got them about 6 yards, got them into really, really good situations. And I liked that. How about that 3rd and 1 call to Zamir White? I thought that was the best call I've seen from McDaniels all year. Because I was thinking, I'm like, man, don't just run into the back of your tackle. Like this feels like something's going to happen here. Like we're going to get stopped short here if you do that. Like it just doesn't seem like we're going to get it this time. And that pitch play, Zamir White, I mean, I'm glad that ball didn't go over his head. Something weird, something Raidery happening. White takes it down. I thought he was going to score for a sec. That would have been sick. But in retrospect, probably better that he didn't, because then Jacobs gets it in a couple plays later. Time goes off the clock. That was wonderfully executed drive. It's how you close the game out. And it was nice to know that not only can the Raiders win that way, it's not a bad idea for them to win that way. If you are going against a good secondary like that, you what you need to do with your weapons, right? Your weapons might not be able to win against them all the time, right? Patrick Surtain played, I thought, a really good job on Davante Adams. Like, people want flags called. I thought all game it was really nice that the refs kind of didn't call pass interference. It was really nice because Nate Hobbs had his arm on somebody, and I thought he was going to get called with his offhand. That didn't get called on his great pass breakup. That's fine. I'm fine as long as you want to just put the flags away. But Davante, he did a great job on them. So what you do is it's nice to spread them out, but then have one back in the backfield and just run against the light box all day, especially when Jacobs has consistently been making the first guy miss this year. You can win that way. And then what does that do? That opens up your passing game. I thought the Raiders had a lot more clean looks at the at open guys today, just because they were running the ball. I don't believe what analytics say. I don't think that running game is useless, or that like people. I think this year what you're seeing is a resurgence of the running back. You're seeing a lot of running backs, kind of like Nick Chubb, right? The Browns have Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback, right? And I'm not saying they're good or anything, but Nick Chubb is really the one keeping him in the game, and it making Jacoby Brissett's job easier. You can't tell me that Jacoby Brissett would be playing, better than he is if they didn't have a good run game. So I'm more so make sure you have a good run game, but maybe don't commit to just one back. And I think that's what the Raiders are doing this year. Josh Jacobs is going to tug on a lot of Raider fans' heartstrings, and I wouldn't get too used to him being in a Raider uniform for beyond this year, obviously, but enjoy it while it's here. And then you try to replace that next year. You try to hope Zamir White's ready, maybe bring in the 4th, 5th round pick at running back, see if he comes in, sign a vet, just manufacture a run game. And they did a great job today. I mean, they did just a wonderful job running the ball, and that's how you're going to have to win, because it looks like this team runs the ball better than it passes right now. Just when you look at who feels comfortable doing what, they look like a comfortable running team, and the pass game is like just incrementally kind of getting a little more comfortable, slower than we want to be. But this is what it was. I mean, I think against the Cardinals, they blew golden opportunities to run the ball on them. And even last week, it was like there were certain times where it's like, man, just run the ball. Running the ball kind of got them back in the game a little bit last week. So all in all, I'm really happy. It just felt so good to win. KC looks tough. They look tough, but they lost to the Colts. It's not, I know it's a bit different. It's KC and Raiders is a lot bigger game. You can't really overlook that game. But if the Raiders can score some points, I mean, I like it. If they win, they're back 2-3 after 2 division and 2-1 in your division. You're back. They have a long week. They need to just make whatever adjustment you make to where you can just have less confusion on offense. Now, maybe that's your head coach swallowing a little pride. Maybe that's your quarterback deciding, maybe I need to be a little more rogue. Because it's about winning games, right? McDaniels has no leverage. He's a winning offensive coordinator. He's not a winning head coach. So somebody needs to take charge and make this offense just a little more smooth, whether that's McDaniels swallowing his pride or Derek Carr alphaing up, nutting up, and just being like, you know what? This is how the offense is going to be. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to win games. So, that's it for me. I mean, we got the win. I'm excited, enjoying a nice victory beer, and going to watch the Sunday Night Football game. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thumbs up on the video if you can, just whatever. And subscribe to my podcast, The Back Wall. That's a paid podcast. Rare Candy's free, and then we have paid options for that as well, include on our Substack, rarecandy.substack.com. So yeah, I'll catch up with you guys after the next game. I can really only probably do one of these a week realistically. So sorry about that, but I'll catch you guys next time.